Same fabric would be lovely. Kitty, hold a minute. I think the messenger's here to send off my new designs. Hold on, thank you. Margo! Well, what a nice surprise.
Is it, Barbara? Oh, good. I'm glad I could return the favor. Because I got hit with quite a surprise myself this morning. I can't stay long, but I'm sure it'll be a visit you won't ever forget.
If you will excuse me, my manufacturer's on the phone. I will tell him I will call him back.
If you'd like, I'll tell him a few things. Like how simple his Simply Barbara really is.
Jerry? Yes, it wasn't the messenger at all. A friend of mine stopped by unexpectedly. Could I call you back? Thank you.
Now, that's funny. My husband had trouble facing me this morning, too. There must be something highly contagious in the air. Let's hope it's not an epidemic of infidelity. But with you as a carrier, it could happen.
Look, I don't know what Tom told you.
Tom didn't tell me anything. He had the good taste to remain silent and just look guilty as hell. But I shouldn't expect a show of taste from you, should I? You save all that for your design.
If this is going to turn into an angry little exchange of insults, you may leave.
You're gonna throw me out, Ms. Ryan? I only wish you'd try.
If you haven't talked this over with Tom, you've a lot of nerve coming over here and
there is
attacking me.
nothing for Tom to talk over with me. Nothing. Because it is over, Barbara. I could have forgiven him almost anything, but not turning to someone like you. He got drunk in New York and picked up some sort of call girl. And somewhere along the line, down the road, I might have understood that. But to become the willing victim of someone who is cold and calculating, the schemer that you've become, I find it hard to understand and hard to forgive.
Margo, maybe if you had taken the time or shown some interest in Tom's needs, this never would have happened.
Oh, well, now, there's a switch. You were the one that was always cheering me on in my career, telling me how proud you were of me, that I was able to manage a successful job and a marriage at the same time. And you know what? I was so naive. I was so stupid that I thought you were my friend. And all along, you were plotting and planning this whole thing.
There was nothing planned or calculated about what happened. Tom was lonely, miserable.
And you were hungry for another woman's husband. Lord, you even had me help convince him to go to New York on that trip with you. You're in the right profession, Barbara, I'll tell you that much. Designer describes you to a T.
Don't you stand there and play the self-righteous wounded wife with me. My name used to be Barbara Stenbeck, remember? Former wife of James Stenbeck. And there was a time, Margo, that you weren't above seducing another woman's husband was there. In fact, you and Tom are living in the house that James gave you when you were his mistress.
That's true. It's not a part of my past that I'm very proud of. And it's true all the same. So is this what this is, Barbara? You waited all these years to even the score?
I never gave it a second thought.
That I believe, because I don't think you'd give a thought to anything except how to get more for Barbara. You know what the most pathetic thing about this whole situation is? You don't give a damn for Tom. He's just a convenience to you. Because if I thought you cared about Tom, if I thought you were capable of caring for anyone but Barbara, I might be hurt by what happened here. Instead, I feel sick to my stomach. Look at you. Not a hair out of place this early in the morning. The living picture of what every woman would love to look like just once in their life. I gotta get out of here before I throw up all over you. Have fun while you can, Barbara, because you're in for a very lonely old age.
It's good to see you, Margo.
Drop the pretense, Barbara. It's not very nice to see you. I really came over here because I wanted to tell you you can't control my life.
Meaning what?
Meaning, you told Shannon that you and I were friends? And I also do not want you telling Shannon whether I will or will not be a bridesmaid of hers. I resent that.
I was just trying to help, Margo, that's all.
Sure you were, Barbara.
I was. Look, I know that Tom is going to be Brian's best man. I just wanted to save you from an embarrassing situation.
A situation that you created. That's okay. I can deal with it.
Hello, Margo.
Goodbye, Barbara.
Hold it, right there. I didn't close the door on you the morning you came over to make accusations. The least you can do is let me talk, all right? I want you to know how unfair you're being to Tom.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that you could tell me about Tom, Barbara, but I'm not interested.
No. You jumped to the wrong conclusions this morning. What you walked in on was a
What I
perfectly
walked
innocent
in on
business
there
meeting.
was my soon-to-be ex-husband holding his cheap trick.
Hi, Margo. I just came by to pick up my stuff.
I packed the things you left in the bedroom, okay?
Thanks. I'll be out of your way in a minute.
Fine.
Very attractive young man. I'm glad to see you're not spending all of your time alone. Feel better?
No, I don't, because I realize that I'm rapidly sinking down to your level, so why don't you get out of here?
No, I'm not going anywhere until you understand exactly what happened between me and Tom. It was a mistake. Don't you see that? And if you looked at the facts, Margo, you
There's
would
only
realize
one fact here. You had an affair with my husband.
No, it happened only once, and there were reasons, Margo. You were concentrating on your career, remember? And then Tom and I were going to New York.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I was coming back the afternoon you left, remember? I asked you to give him a message for me so that he would wait for me. Should have known better than to trust you with anything.
Oh, no, I told him. I told him, Margo, you just ask him. And then we had Simply Barbara from there. We got involved with everything, got caught up in the excitement of it. We were drinking. We were both very lonely. And it just happened. Now, are you going to divorce the man that you love and who loves you because of one slip?
I don't care how many times it happened. What I can't forgive is that it happened with you. A cold, conniving witch who manipulated my husband into bed, and she had the audacity of calling herself my friend.
I am your friend, Margo.
Save it, Barbara, okay? Tom may not be able to see through you, but I certainly can. You don't care about anyone but yourself. And you're using him. And I don't know why.
I know that you're saying all these things to try to hurt me. But I certainly know and hope that you have enough sense not to say anything to anybody else about this. If Kim or Bob or Lisa found out, it would hurt them terribly.
I haven't even told John, and he trusts you less than I do. But then again, good instincts run in the family.
So you'll give me your word that you won't say anything?
I wouldn't give you the time of day. I still respect Tom too much to say, tell anyone that he's up to you.
I'll see you later, Margo.
Casey. Casey, I'd like you to meet Barbara Ryan. Oakdale's famous designing woman.
Hi.
This is Casey Peretti. He is a resident that John is sponsoring at Memorial. He was living here until I moved in. Got that straight now?
Nice to meet you. Sorry I couldn't make you understand, Margo. Bye.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you're not going to tell anyone.
Lady in Blue has a night out on the town. Your mother was really wonderful. Really charming. Thank you. I'm very proud of her. Well, I'm going just to see that all the waiters have brought my guests to me. You coming?
In a minute.
Margo. Why don't you run along? I know that she likes people to come when she calls them. You know, your new friend.
Are we going to behave like this every single time that we see each other?
I don't see why not. You made a bed, now we're all lying in it, so to speak.
You know, I'm really sick and tired of being cast as the villainess in this piece.
I don't see why. It's a perfect role for you. Tailor-made, in fact.
Did you know that Tom is refusing to represent Simply Barbara any longer? That he's turned it over to Greg Hadley?
So?
So, Tom blames me, you blame me. It's not all my fault, Margo.
No, you're right. You're right. It's not all your fault. There are other people to blame. Like Tom, for instance, for having the appalling lack of good taste in sleeping with you.
Are we just going to stand here and trade insults?
No, you're going to leave before I forget I'm a lady.
A lady. What about a wife? What about a wife, Margo? What about all those months that you were too busy being a lady cop, worried about your big promotion, and only thinking of your needs, not Tom's? Is it any wonder that he wound up in bed with a real woman?
Barbara, I just really want a very quiet, dignified divorce. Bad enough that Tom had to give John a black eye. Why don't you leave before I give you a black eye?
I'm not denying my role in this whole mess. But isn't it about time that you start taking responsibility, Margo? The poor, betrayed, loving wife routine just makes me sick. Grow up, Margo.
I'm sorry. Are we interrupting something?
Yes. Thank God.
Margo, I hope you understand that I'm here because this is my family.
I really hadn't given your presence here a second thought, Barbara. In light of everything else that's going on, it's rather insignificant.
Hal's in the shower. Please, come on in, Margo.
No, that's okay. I just came by to tell him I was back from Cape Cod and, no actual news to report. I'll see him at the station tomorrow.
Suit yourself.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna bite on this one. What are you doing here, Barbara? I mean, hanging out with a cop. That's a little bit of a come down for you, isn't it?
Hal invited me and Paul to a hockey game and dinner.
Hal made dinner?
No, that was my contribution.
The mind boggles.
Well, you've been gone a long time, Margo. Things change.
Well, you didn't waste any time at all. It's Holloway. That's a cozy little scene at Lakeview Towers. I'm surprised you made it here.
You know, I was wondering how long it was going to take you before you mentioned something about that. You know what, Margo? That was a business meeting. Did you hear?
We all know how you like to mix business with pleasure, like you did with Tom in New York City. Hello, Barbara. Don't suppose you're looking for Hal. You probably already know where he is since you're so good at keeping tabs on him.
No, you don't have to tell me where Hal is. And in fact, in case you're wondering, he'll be with me tonight.
Oh, I do have to hand it to you. Once you get a guy hooked, you know just how to reel him in, don't you?
Perhaps you'd like some pointers, since you seem to have such difficulty in holding on to a man. Oh, by the way, I don't think it really took a mind reader to figure out what you were doing at Ambrose Bingham's office yesterday. So you're finally ready to publicly admit that you lost Tom?
If that were true, I wouldn't be smiling if I were you. Because my marriage to Tom is the only thing that's holding me back from going after Hal. No holds barred. And if that were the case, you would lose.
So, Margo, when did you decide that Hal should tell his father about Adam?
I didn't decide anything. Hal asked if he could, and I said yes. Didn't he tell you?
No, he did not, but I'm sure that you planted the seed in his head. You do anything you can to strengthen your ties with him, don't you?
I know, Barbara. Why don't you stop thinking about yourself for a change and start thinking about Hal? His father is dying, and it's important to Hal that he be able to tell his father that he has a grandson.
Thanks to you, which you keep gloating over.
I don't gloat. It's just a fact, Barbara.
Well, enjoy your superiority while you can, Margo, because once Hal and I have a child of our own, things will be very different.
Oh, God, are you going to turn this into a competition about whose child he loves more?
Tom, I'm awfully glad that you can share your wife, but I'll be damned if I'm going to share my husband.
Be back.
Don't me. Hal told me that he called you last night and asked you to bring Adam down to Kentucky.
Yes. Tom and I talked about it this morning, and we decided that I should go.
Just like that. Without considering how I feel.
Well, this is very important to Hal. His father's dying and wants to see his grandson, and it's a reasonable request. And since you've already refused to take Adam there yourself...
I am so sick of your holier-than-thou attitude, Margo. You've done it again, haven't you? Once again, I'm going to come out looking like the villain in this. First, you had me lie to Hal about Adam, and then you go behind my back and tell him the truth before I have a chance to, and I have to keep on lying
Wait a minute,
for
Barbara.
months.
Wait a minute. You don't have to keep on doing anything. You see, you've had months to set things straight with Hal. But you have been lying by choice, and I refuse to be blamed for it anymore.
You are so smug, Margo. Smug and selfish.
I think you're the one that's being selfish here. You're not even considering Hal's feelings.
The way I see it, Margo, you owe me a favor. And I'm calling it in. I want you to get Hal on the phone and tell him that you're not bringing Adam to Kentucky.
I know you bitterly resent that Hal and I have a son together, but the fact is, Adam exists, whether you like it or not. And Hal loves Adam, and you love Hal, so why don't you try supporting him for once?
The way Tom is supporting you, you know, I don't care what Tom keeps saying. I know deep down he doesn't want you to make this trip.
What's really bothering you? Is it Hal's connection with Adam? Or is it that I'm going to be alone with Hal and Adam in Kentucky? Because if it's the latter, then I think you should take a serious look at why you have such a hard time trusting your own husband. Hal just went to the men's room. He'll be back in a minute.
So I hear you were a big success in Alba.
Well, I guess. Harold seemed better by having seen Adam.
You know, it just amazes me how you always manage to turn this hellish situation we're living to your own advantage.
You know what? I know you're nervous because of the trial today, so why don't we just postpone this little conversation?
Well, Margo, you may enjoy playing the big heroine for Hal and his father, but I saw what Tom was going through while you were in Kentucky with Adam. And if you care anything about your own marriage, you'd better start concentrating on your husband and put my husband and a son that you share on
I
the
don't
back
need
burner.
your advice about my marriage.
No. Margo's the expert on everything. Damn her.
You know, Barbara, it's only natural for them to be drawn closer by this.
Yes, and I have you to thank for that, Margo. If you had contacted us immediately when you knew that James was still alive, Paul would never be in this mess now.
I did call several times, as a matter of fact. I called Hal at the motel and left messages as soon as James contacted Paul.
Really? Well, you must have realized that Hal never got those messages. If he didn't call you back, you could have found some way to reach him at his father's house.
Well, we did consider calling in the local sheriff, as a matter of fact, but we had no reason to even think that James was in Oakdale at the time. I talked to Tom and Mac about it, they concurred, and so I decided that it was...
You decided? I am so sick and tired of you playing God with my life. First with Adam, and now I have to live with this lie with Hal, and then you make a decision that's going to scar my son for the rest of his life. I'll never forgive you for this one, Margo. Never.